Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Kohaloim La Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Chaha Kodash, double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawaf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And I was watching this video earlier. Well, I was watching the elder out in Kansas City, GMS Kansas City, and he was going into this today. He done a part 1 and a part 2, and I guess maybe me watching it must have set the algorithm up where the actual video actually popped up with this guy, because this is actually his channel from 2 days ago. Edry Jeek, or whatever his name is, appears he has 2.78 million subscribers. I might actually subscribe to him. And it was just like, I'm thinking I'm listening to, because I was just listening to the Apostle Tahar, the beloved Apostle Tahar's video, because he was just doing a lesson on, this digital ID. And I'm thinking that the video was still playing, because I was kind of, making some food while I was listening to it. And it carried on into this one. I'm looking like, well, damn, this is the actual original video. So that's the spirit that this video actually popped up. And it's supposedly on Fox News here. But this guy, he's doing like a sit down, and he's talking about this digital ID and what they're pretty much about to get into with it. You know what I'm saying? Because this guy to the over in the UK, Prime Minister Steimer, I think is his name. He done a live stand up a few weeks back here, about 2 weeks ago, talking about digital ID, and it's going to be mandatory. You're not going to be able to work. So the scriptures talks about, if a man doesn't work, neither shall he eat. So if you can't work, you can't eat, neither can you pay any bill. You can't even pay your rent. So that could leave you in a homeless state. You know what I'm saying? You can't pay your car note, your insurance, whatever you have to pay. Your children may need whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's going off into, let's just get it real quick, and I'll just grab a little bit of this video. I kind of queued it because it's like a 20-minute video. I mean, you can look this guy up. I might be able to actually just put the link in the comment board or something like that. But either way, you know what I'm saying? Brothers have been going in on it. I'm sure you're probably going to see a lot more of this particular video. This guy, he's giving some pretty good information. I mean, stuff that we already knew and was already saying anyway through our beloved apostles and bishops and elders on down. They've been talking about this for years, so this is not nothing surprising to us. But for the new believers and newcomers that's coming into this truth, you have to understand that this is the lead up. Now, this is not the actual mark of the beast, but it is a lead up. You know what I'm saying? Because when it straight comes down to it, say for instance, you may have to get this digital ID just to go ahead and continue on surviving, until, the Lord makes the next move, because the next move is going to be the actual chip within you. It's not going to be no, you able to flash your phone and look, here's my information. No, it's going to be the information. They're going to be, trying to scan your ass. You know what I'm saying? So, but in the meanwhile, it's just like when COV19 was going down, you know what I'm saying? People was kind of talking like that the shot was, the mark of the beast. Really, it wasn't, which you shouldn't have took that shit anyway. But it's a lead up. It's gradualism. It's pretty much the control. They kind of twofold, threefolded that one. Knocking off some of the population slash, seeing how many people would comply and how many, people wouldn't. They got a lot of data out of that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So they pretty much have the data that they need to actually push this thing on forward. But let's get Revelation 13:16 real quick, and I want to play a little bit of the guy's video. I mean, it's something we have to keep hammering this down, man. Because you got some camps out here that's not teaching their congregants, what's really popping with this digital ID. They keep, circling around it, don't want to, just explain to their congregations that, hey, look, this shit is happening. This shit is happening, and it's happening fast. And you have like the elder was saying, it's a lot of really sincere brothers and sisters that are into this truth. When they heard this truth, they really are sincere. They and the elect, they're gonna get it. The Lord is going to eventually give it, the information to the elect. It's not like they're just going to be, he's going to eventually pull them from those camps, man, that's bullshitting around, But this is Revelation 13:16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And this is, it's similar or gradually similar to what this digital ID is, because you're gonna have to have it to actually move in society. Not just to buy and sell, but just in general, just move in society, man. Because Esau, he done got it down to the point of you can get a damn scooter or a bicycle through an app. If it might come to a point where you might not even be able to ride a regular bicycle. They pull your ass over like, where you get that bike from? They might ban regular bikes. Cause you might be like, fuck it. Well, fuck a car. I ain't going to go, I don't need the ID. I'm not going to even be driving it. You just never know with this man, because he's going to, he's basically taking away rights little by little. Well, actually, he's moving kind of fast with it. But this is verse 17. The point, in that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right? And this is what this man, he stood on stage and said that shit. He said by the time his parliament is up, his parliamentary or whatever they call it, and I'm not sure how long I'm not sure if it's like 4 years, like how a president may be here in the Americas, and then he, gets to, I'm not sure if it's 2 years, hell, it could be 10 years, I don't fucking know, but, he's saying that by the time his tenure is up, that this is going to be implemented and there's nothing that you can do about it. And you got people that's up and there's uproars about this type of stuff. They had they tried to do it before, but see, this time they're just going to push it on through, and they don't give a fuck about nothing what you people have to say. They don't care no more. That's just a done deal. All them rights, you used to have, no, that's just a done deal. You either you gonna buck up with them, you gonna buck up against them, and a lot of people gonna get knocked off, deleted. And then they still gonna get what they want, So because it's prophetic, it's got to come. There's nothing you can do to fight off this prophecy, man. This prophecy must come to pass, and the only people that's wanting it to come on to pass is the men of GMS mainly, and the brothers that's have that same doctrine as Great Millstone, because we're praying for these things to happen. But you got people there, Christians don't want the will of the Lord to happen. That's one thing y'all can say about Christians, boy. One thing I can say about them, they pray against the Lord's will all day, every day. They do not want World War III to happen. They pray against it. Lord, please help. Bring us to peace. No, man, these things got to happen. These are prophecies, man. You should be praying for the Lord's prophecies to play out. But anyway, let's get a little bit of the video. This will be for, copyright disclaimer. Fair use. I think it's copyright 107. Of the Fair Use Act, where you can do educational videos or commentary on certain news articles or movies or whatever the case may be. I'm not using it for any monetary value. I'm not making any money off of it, and it's just for educational purposes only. So I had it queued up at this point right here. I could have backed it up and you can get this guy stammer, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to, play it from where this guy was talking about it from right about here. So let's play some.
This system. So on the surface, I think it sounds completely innocent, but the reality is that it's anything but that, because once you start to really think about it, the same features that makes it all convenient are also the same features that will be abused for power. And here's exactly why we should be extremely concerned. Once you centralize identity into one system, yes, you do make it easier for people to prove who they are, but you also make it easier for governments and corporations and special interests to track and control people. We've already seen governments weaponize financial access against their own citizens, and you're gonna see this happen in 3 specific areas: government power, corporate power, and surveillance. So the first example, government power. If you remember in 2022, during the Freedom Convoy protests in Canada, the government used emergency powers and ordered banks to freeze accounts linked to protesters. They targeted regular people who donated money through GoFundMe. And overnight, citizens were locked out of their own savings. There was no trials, there were no court rulings, no one was convicted of any wrongdoing. It was just because they supported the wrong cause. There was also Georgia earlier this year, where Amnesty International reported that the government froze the bank accounts of NGOs and lawyers who were providing legal aid to protesters. And their crime was offering support to people exercising their right to protest. So with the click of a button, the government just silenced people by cutting off access to their money. And under existing anti-money laundering laws, this is super easy to justify because banks are required to freeze or flag accounts that they suspect have unusual activity. But what counts as unusual activity, and who gets to decide that? That could mean transferring money to buy Bitcoin. It could mean donating to a protest movement. It could even mean participating in the boycott of a company that the government wants to protect. None of this has to be proven illegal in court. As long as they have suspicion, that is enough. And that's...
Okay, so let's clip there, man. Let's grab a quick script. And I mean, this is what Esau has been working on. And, Trump, as you can see, that's the reason why he's going so hard against media. Matter of fact, I was just watching a live. I want to go into that. They was doing a live round table at the White House on Antifa. And they had all these boy, when I tell you, man, these people, I had to mute that shit. I couldn't even take listening to these soft ass Edomite men, talking like bitches, you know what I'm saying, fussing about basically protesters. Okay, well, America has always had protesters, but that's a part of the gradualism plan to shut down your speech, and we know that that's coming too, with that Amos 8 and 11, because really what it's going to wire down to is going to be mainly on us men of the Lord. We had to be, on point and, have our minds, right for, fuck a bank account. You freezing that bitch? All right, well, whatever. Because we know that, the Lord is the one that take care of. You should have that mindset. You should be trusting in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Because it's going to come a point where, everything that we see is, we do every day on a day-to-day basis as normal. That shit is about to be over with. It's about to be over with. You know what I'm saying? At a certain point, and when it comes and it clicks off, you should be ready for when it clicks off. Like, well, shit, fuck it. I've been ready for this shit anyway. That's why the apostles, they go so hard, as of late anyway, too. Going so hard about, separating yourself from this world, man. Separating you, you had to, pretty much overall have a callous mindset. Like, man, fuck this place and fuck everything that is, and pray for the Lord to go ahead and push these things on through. Well, this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right? So we're not ignorant of the fact that, Esau has, one of his number one schemes is using livelihood to get his way. That's been one of that, he'll starve, it's like a siege. He'll starve your ass out, man, to make you comply with what it is that he wants you to do. And in reality, that's, a lot of people going to resist. It's going to be some, some resistance, some uprising, you know what I'm saying? But overall, when shit clears, it's going to be like, okay, well, all right, well, what are you going to starve? Because, we're not. They're going to have their government, these men that are in these positions, they're going to have their constituents, they're going to have their people, they're going to have their little, you can see Trump and them with their little army. They got their little army. These people are going to be fed, and they're going to be looking at you like, all right, well, you want to be fed, you're going to need to come on through and comply. You want your children to eat, you're going to need to come on through and comply. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than that, fuck you. Because, these people, they're showing you clear as day that they don't give a fuck about the American people or people in general. These people don't care nothing about no people. They don't care, bro. they literally do not care. But we understand that, see, and I remember the Canada thing. I don't remember that Georgia one. I didn't know nothing about that one, where, you know what I'm saying, they was freezing accounts of these attorneys and stuff like that was trying to help out immigrants. But I do remember during COVID-19, that's what broke all it, because them people was over there, man, them people was over there for a minute chilling on the border, because I live right here in Detroit, right on the Canada border. They was chilling. You couldn't even get across that bitch. They had barbecues and shit. Motherfuckers was bringing food. They was bringing on. They ain't had to leave them. People was bringing through them porta potties. You know what I'm saying? They would, they had everything that they needed right out there on the roadway, and it was cold at that time at one point, but they had everything that they need because you have the these 18 wheelers. You know what I'm saying? That's got the sleepers in them. It wasn't like they was just outside camping and shit. When they got cold or whatever, they could jump into their truck. They had plenty of fuel. They had people coming and refueling them and all kinds of shit. So those Canadians, man, they got to the point. Those leaders, Trudeau, he's gone now. Which he kind of, I don't know, acting like seemed like to me a flaming sodomite, but I don't know. Anyway, all them Edomites is into something, but he was weak as hell, simp, just a real effeminate dude. But yeah, no, they put the screws to them truckers, man, and made the asses get the fuck on because they started to freeze those the supporters' bank accounts. I remember that because it was a lot of money in that GoFundMe, man. They had a lot of money, so that let you know right there with the digital process how quick they can shut your shit down. You shutting down people's accounts that's actually support. I sent $15. Now all of a sudden I can't get to my little $300-400 I got in my account, or $1,500 or $3,000, whatever, 10. I gotta pay bills and shit. This motherfucker done froze my account because I sent some money to a cause that I was about. No, they getting rid of all that shit. And again, with Trump, I was watching the Antifa thing. They can say you Antifa just for saying fuck Trump. Like, nah, I'm not, I'm not with you whatever you don't like about Trump. Because if you going against him, you definitely becoming an enemy of that guy. He's not playing no games. All you got to do is disagree with him, and you're a complete enemy. And I was just watching that Antifa shit, and I'm looking like how they're speaking, the wording that they were using. It got a little aggravating, so I had to kind of clip the shit. But but that wording that they're using is you can say something simple, and you can be a part of a domestic terrorist, man. You can come lock your ass up, throw your ass in a cage, and don't even give you due process, and don't have to. They can hold you as long as they want. So this is what it's all boiling down to. This is why, the apostles been talking about, having your head on, man, for what's to come. I mean, it's, it's, when you think about it, the shit is, is weird. It's gonna be, a point of, but the Lord gonna have our back, man. We want that spirit of you know what I'm saying, of that Yasha Allah austere spirit, man. Pray for that spirit of endurance, so have that mindset, man. Pray for that mindset if you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Don't that anxiety and that that doubt and shit. Nah, fuck that, man. The scriptures talks about casting down imaginations, man. Cast all that bullshit down. Like, fuck it, man. You know what I'm saying? So now another thing, since I mentioned it, let's get this Amos 8 and 11, because this is what it's boiling down to. And see, it's really, they can't just come on TV and outright say, yeah, we got to get rid of these Hebrew Israelites. Because that's really what it's about. They don't care about it. Because the rest of these people, that shit is not affecting anything, man. It's this truth that's going throughout the earth that's affecting their enterprise, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? These words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is what's fucking with their little scheme and shit. Amos 8 and 11, and it reads, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north even to the east. Okay, let me start that one back again. Verse 12 again. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro, to seek the word of Yahweh, and shall not find it. And this is why, hey, I mean, it's only a matter of time before the Lord shut things down. Matter of fact, it's another scripture. Talks about tongue cleaving to the roof. Let me see. Up Ezekiel 3 and 26, it says, and I will make thy tongue cleave to the roof of thy mouth, that thou shalt be dumb, and shall not be to them a reprover, for they are a rebellious house. Because it's all, see, the real thing that's about to come down the pipe is going to be for these 2/3, man. These 2/3 are going to catch it real bad out here, because they've had an opportunity. They've heard the scriptures. They've been warned. They've been tagged. They don't want to listen. and there it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Lord is giving warning, so he's giving them a fair shot, you know, so to speak. But you know, it's prophetic that these things got to happen anyway. But yeah, man, that's one of the main things that's about to come down the pipe, because a lot of these nations, especially China, you know, they have what they call your a social credit score. So you're not going to just be saying what you want. You're not just going to be, if you're going on social media, you're going to accept them apps that they gave you, and you're going to go on there and just enjoy your little time that you have on there, and turn that shit off and take your ass to bed and get your ass up and go to work, you know, and do what they tell you to do, and the cycle continues until your ass die. Because other than that, you know, there was another little video that Arrow, the brother got the page Arrows of Indignation, and it's a, I'm not sure if that's a Moabite or a so-called Japanese one, but anyway, she's driving a car, and it's just like they keep deleting you know, money out of her account, you know, digitally, as she's making mistakes. You know what I'm saying? You know, she's speeding a little bit. They take some shit from, you know, you know, you've eaten your amount of cheeseburgers. This is what they coming down to, man. This fucking Edomite. These Edomites are fucking insane, man. This is what we're dealing with. So let me play a little bit more, and I'm gonna end out.
As long as they have suspicion, that is enough. And that's a very scary thing. Now, the second place you're gonna see this power is corporate power. Again, Amazon and Uber and other companies are already experimenting with digital IDs. But once it becomes the standard, it will stop being just identification. It will become what some people call a super cookie, right? Like, think about how a website uses cookies to track your browsing and sell you ads, right? But now apply that across your entire identity. That opens the door to something called dynamic pricing. And that's a shareholder's dream, by the way. Here's how it's gonna work. Think about how airports charge us like $20 for a sandwich or a bottle of water.
Wireless tail lights for a trailer.
Dollars for a sandwich or a bottle of water. Why? Because they know you're trapped. You're not gonna leave the airport, get an Uber, and eat somewhere else, then come back through security. You are stuck. That is a very simple form of dynamic pricing. But imagine if that logic gets supercharged by digital IDs. Let's say your ID app shows that you just got off a 10-hour flight, right? The system knows where you've been, it knows your wallet balance, it knows you're hungry, so the algorithm decides, you know, that person is stressed and they will probably pay more. And then boom, your sandwich is $25 instead of $12. But the person next to you might pay less just because that system thinks they're more price sensitive. They can tolerate $15, but not a dollar more. Ticketmaster, for example, already uses dynamic pricing, where the same ticket can jump in price minute by minute based purely on demand. Now imagine, though, if your digital ID shows you've searched for, I don't know, Taylor Swift tickets 5 times this week. The algorithm knows you are more likely to pay more, so your price gets pushed higher than someone else's. Airlines already do this. Or think about car insurance. Right now, companies use broad categories, right? But with digital ID, they could see your exact driving history, your Uber ride logs, where you hang out, all based on its ability to digitally track exactly where you are and where you've been. And you don't get to negotiate any of this because the system already knows too much about you. That's the corporate power risk. And then of course there's one more. The third place this power will show up in is surveillance and security. Some digital driver's license apps in the US already have what's called a phone home feature. That means every time you use your ID at a bar, at an airport, or a hotel, it pings a government database. So now, instead of just being a harmless ID, the government now has a time-stamped log of everywhere you go and everything you do in real time. If you add in central bank digital currencies on top of all that, which are already being tested, as well as an API that companies can pay to access, and it's not really that hard to imagine a programmable-like money that is tied to your biometrics. That gives the government the ability to program dollars that maybe stop working at certain stores for certain purchases, or even dollars that expire after a certain date. It's all up to their discretion. But it gets worse when you consider data breaches. India's Aadhaar system, for example, which is the biggest digital ID program in the world, has already had multiple leaks. Sensitive information from 1 billion people, including biometrics, was exposed. But here's the problem. Once your fingerprint or your facial scan or your iris is leaked or it's sold, you can't reset it like a password. It doesn't work that way. If the system is trying to protect us from fraud or illegal immigration, then the current system that we have today should be working, but it's not. So an extra layer of this identification is going to do very little to stop it.
Why do you think that them having a digital ID, having to have a digital ID, would stop that problem when right now people are meant to have a national insurance number and card, and if they're not asked for that, a boss is willing already to break the rules? What's the difference going to be?
That's exactly right. If they're not willing to ask for their current credentials, what makes them think a digital ID will do anything to change that? And he didn't really have a good answer for that because there is no good answer. So if we allow this to happen, I think it's going to fundamentally change the balance of power between people, governments, and corporations, and not for the better, unfortunately.
Well, hey, yeah, that's pretty much about it there. We got the info. But we've been saying this all along, man, and all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for giving us this information, and we've been sharing it, man. It's not like we've been holding on to it. We've been pushing it out there, man, to the best of our ability every time we see something that's got something to do with something digital. And hey, this shit is getting real. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're basically next step, all they have to do is say, okay, we've been having some hacking, situations, and we have to take it to another step, and that next step is going to be what? Putting that shit in you. and even then, they're not going to be, have no, your ass can be hacked. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's all about that control. It's just Esau with that. Matter of fact, this video, it says digital IDs are here, total control. And that's exactly what it is. That's Esau. Esau trying to get back his birthright. He's trying to get back his blessing. He's trying to, become God-like, man. He has that God complex, man. As a matter of fact, this is a portion of him being revealed. That's how you know we're in the last days. Both parts of this prophecy, that them trying to even do this shit, and also this man being revealed. This is 2 Thessalonians 2. Let's just get verse 3 here. It says, let no man. Matter of fact, let me start from the top, verse 1. And it's entitled Man of Lawlessness. And in the NLT, it says events prior to the Lord's second coming. It says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach. That's the true name of the Son, Yahushua, which means he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. And the true name of the Father is Yahweh, which means that he exists or the existing one. And it's very important to know those names, because those are the names that you're going to want to be calling on, or you have to be calling on when shit really hits the fans and you're calling on your power, the one that you should be ultimately 100% trusting in. Yahweh, the Father, why Yahushai, his Son, praying to the Father Yahweh in the name of his Son Yahushai, repenting to the Father Yahweh in the name of his Son Yahushai. Right, but let me get this back again. It says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahushua is at hand. How do we know it's at hand? Because these prophecies are playing out. Because the Lord said to measure thou the times diligently, He says to watch and pray. We're supposed to, these are number one key prophecies we're supposed to be watching for. Verse 3 is the point. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So the Lord can't come until these two things happen, which the first part has already happened. The falling away of the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, falling away from your customs, your dietary laws, your way of life, hell, not even having your land. You're just somewhere stuck underneath these so-called white people that want to perpetually enslave you. That's a part of us falling away. But this part right here is in play right now. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. In the NLT, it says, do not be fooled. So like you don't be fooled by what they say. For that day will not come until there is a great rebellion against Yahweh and the man of lawlessness. And the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one who brings destruction. And that's all that this man does, man. You know how destructive it is, man, to try and pull off what this guy's about to try and pull off? By trying to chip everyone and incorporate them into a fucking computer system? This man is reckless as hell. Verse 4, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he is God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, because he has a God complex. He wants to be all knowing. He wants to be all seeing. He wants to be, he wants to be the Lord. That's exactly, he's really trying to replicate the Lord, man, on the left hand side. He wants that power. This man got satellites all in the skies, motherfucking. He can, he got cameras every fucking where. He wants to be all seeing. He's checking your microphones and your phone. He has listening devices all over the place. He can tune into anything, man. It's like that movie with Will Smith, Enemy of the State. I think I got it on DVD. That was a good movie. I'm not sure what year it came out, but that was like when they first started getting into, like computer spy shit type of deal. And that movie gotta be, man, that movie probably about 20 years old or so now. And that's a good watch, man, but I just wanted to touch on this because this is a major prophecy. And this guy, again, his name is Andrew Jink, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Let's see some of these comments real quick. Yeah, somebody says the fact that there's no vote or debate on this matter tells you everything about the nature of it. Yeah, because it's clearly for use of a totalitarian tool. Yeah, because overall, man, people are distracted. They giving Jake, they're giving the people their bread and circus. People able to go to the store, get their little drinks and shit, watch their games, watch their movies, and these people don't give a fuck until it actually hit their asses over the head. Somebody says, folks, we can't comply with this no matter what. Yeah, well, we saying that to the Hebrew Israelites. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, hey, man, you should be praying to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for that spirit, man, of endurance, baby, for real, because it's going to be a test for everyone. It says, it's no wonder people are going off grid, unplugging from this matrix we live in. I have nothing but respect for those people. Good luck. Yeah. No digital ID. Says the West constantly complaining about China while constantly trying to be China. Yep. It's not free if it costs your privacy and freedom. Yeah. I'm an IT tech, and I have been so for over 11 years. This is the mark of the beast. There you go. Well, finally somebody. I just wanted to see if somebody in here was going to be on that tip. I am a British person, and in the UK, I do not want this digital ID. I know enough to worry before your video, so previously had signed a petition in the UK to try and stop it. Well, these people can do all that all they want, man. That's it's prophecy. You're not going to stop nothing that the Lord got coming. That's overall what it is, man. Okay, here go one. This lady says, more secure, mark of the beast. The more people use the internet, the less secure their life becomes. Yep. Yeah, that's only 2 people says the mark of the beast. So there's people in here that know what's popping. Even though this guy, he didn't say it flat out of his mouth, he probably know though too. Yep. But anyway, I'm gonna end out there, man. Hey, it's coming down the pipe, man. So, and all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, man, because these things have to happen before we get the fuck out of here. And the quicker they happen, the quicker we out of here. So continue on praying for these things to happen, fastly, and the downfall of this man's kingdom. Because Esau gotta go, man. These people are just just disgustingly wicked, man. They fucking disgust me on a more and more on a day-to-day basis. Just the whole thought of them, man. It's just you motherfuckers. Anyway, with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha Allah in the Bible ball.